Right now, getting clean water is incredibly easy. You can turn on a tap, open a refrigerator, or buy a bottle from a store. But imagine living 10,000 years ago. No plumbing, no water filters, no wells, no bottled water, and no way to test whether water was safe to drink. Yet somehow, ancient humans survived. Not for years, not for decades, but for thousands of generations. So how did they find clean water, and how did they avoid drinking water that could make them sick? The answer is a fascinating story of observation, survival, and human intelligence. For ancient humans, water was one of the most important resources on Earth. Without food, a person might survive for weeks. Without water, survival could become impossible in just a few days. That meant finding water was often the first priority whenever a group moved into a new area. Unlike modern humans, our ancestors paid extremely close attention to their surroundings. Their lives depended on it. They learned that different sources of water carried different levels of risk. A muddy pond that looked harmless could contain harmful bacteria and parasites. Water that had been sitting still for a long time was often avoided whenever better options existed. Instead, ancient humans preferred moving water. Streams, rivers, and natural springs were usually considered safer. Flowing water was often cleaner than stagnant water because it was constantly moving. Over generations, people learned this through experience. Groups that chose better water sources were more likely to survive and pass their knowledge to future generations. But what happened when there were no rivers nearby? Ancient humans developed remarkable skills for finding hidden water. They carefully observed the landscape. A valley between hills might collect moisture. A cluster of green plants in an otherwise dry area could indicate underground water. Certain trees could only grow where water was available beneath the surface. By studying nature, humans could often locate water without seeing it directly. Animals also became important guides. Every animal needs water. Ancient hunters noticed that animal trails frequently led to rivers, lakes, or springs. Following tracks could sometimes reveal a water source hidden behind rocks, trees, or hills. Birds were especially useful. Large groups of birds flying at dawn or sunset often traveled between feeding grounds and water sources. By watching their movements, humans could discover places they otherwise might have missed. In dry regions, survival required even greater creativity. Sometimes rivers disappeared during hot seasons. The surface looked completely dry, but experienced humans knew that water could still exist underground. They dug shallow holes into sandy riverbeds. Slowly, water would seep into the hole from below. The process required patience, but it could provide enough water to keep a group alive. Rainwater was another valuable resource. Many ancient communities collected water after storms. Natural depressions in rocks acted like giant bowls. These basins could hold water for days or even weeks after rainfall. Some groups returned to these locations year after year because they knew water would be available there. Finding water was only half the battle. The next challenge was keeping it safe. Although ancient humans didn't understand bacteria or viruses, they understood cause and effect. If a particular water source repeatedly made people sick, they learned to avoid it. Over time, this practical knowledge became part of their survival culture. Long before modern science existed, humans discovered ways to improve water quality. One of the most effective methods was heating water. Archaeologists believe many ancient groups heated stones in fires and placed the hot stones into containers filled with water. This raised the water's temperature and reduced many harmful microorganisms. It wasn't a perfect system, but it was far better than drinking unsafe water directly. Some cultures stored water in clay containers. When water sat undisturbed, dirt and sediment slowly settled to the bottom. The cleaner water remained near the top and could be carefully poured out. This simple technique helped improve water quality without any advanced technology. As human societies became larger, new solutions appeared. Some communities dug wells to access underground water. Others settled near reliable springs that produced fresh water throughout the year. These locations often became the foundations of villages and eventually entire civilizations. In fact, many of the world's earliest civilizations grew around dependable water sources. Without access to clean water, cities could never have developed. Perhaps the most amazing part of this story is that ancient humans accomplished all of this through observation alone. They had no laboratories, No scientific instruments, no water treatment plants. Everything they knew came from watching nature and learning from experience. Knowledge about water was passed from parents to children, generation after generation. A mistake could be deadly, but a successful discovery could help an entire community survive. Their understanding of the natural world was so advanced that many survival experts today still use some of the same techniques when searching for water in the wilderness. The next time you fill a glass from the tap, think about what that convenience represents. For ancient humans, every drop of clean water had to be earned. They searched for it, protected it, stored it, and depended on it for survival. Without their ability to find safe water, humanity might never have survived long enough to build the world we know today. And that raises an interesting question. If you were suddenly transported 10,000 years into the past with no modern tools and no help, would you know where to find clean water?